So here we are. We have the opportunity to sit down with Mark Chardy. He is the producer of the brand new flick, Chappaquiddick. It is a phenomenal movie. I had the opportunity to screen it a little bit early. And Mark, it's really fascinating. First of all, I have to ask you, how did this thing get done in the first place? Because I'm sure you're getting this from everybody on the right. How did a movie about Ted Kennedy leaving a woman to drown underwater?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't set out to make a political statement. The move came to me from a friend who's a manager, represented these two young writers. They had heard this word Chappaquiddick and knew nothing about it, so they started doing research. They got so transfixed that they started to pull all kinds of material. The inquest, most of was their research, and they just wrote a script. They spec'd the script, wrote it, and my friend sat down and we had a lunch together, and he said, "Hey, I got this script." He goes, "I have no idea how Hollywood is going to respond to this," but he said, "It's really good." So we read it, loved it, and we acquired it, and then we had no idea if we could make it. You obviously got to get a director and a star and a cast, but everyone responded incredibly well. I mean, it was just such a kind of page-turning thriller that, and a history lesson as well. That's fascinating.
Did you get any pushback in town on making it from different actors who turned it down?
Yeah, there were a couple actors that really loved the script, but just felt like maybe it was a little tricky, politically. So we kind of had thought like maybe we'd get an Australian or a UK director or actor, and Jason Clarke is Australian, and it's a brave choice, but the role is so good and he's so good in it, and if you can execute what was on the page, we knew we'd have something.
And there's so many great actors in the film, from Kate Mara, who plays Mary Jo Kopechne and does it with just tremendous amount of sympathy, because you don't really see her as a full-fledged character until you see the film, to you have a couple of comics who are playing kind of the sidekicks to Ted Kennedy, and it really is an amazing task.
Yeah, John Curran, who directed it, with the cast, he felt like, because the movie's so serious and there's a tragedy involved, that he wanted to have, I wouldn't say lightness, but to the moments when you're in the war room, there's moments of levity, of kind of absurdness, and where Ed Helms and Jim Gaffigan can kind of mine those. You get laughs in the movie, believe it or not. Some are uncomfortable, but some are just like absurd. And when you have that timing, it helps. And those guys were tremendous.
And Bruce Dern is in it for 5 seconds, and he's just
really powerful.
Terrific in it. Well, I think one of the reasons that the movie is going to not only do well, I think that the critics will be okay with it, is because you actually stuck really as much as you could to the facts. I mean, there is no rumor mongering in this at all. So as somebody who studied this from the time that I was younger, as a conservative, where this is a big thing, right?
Yeah.
There's all this speculation about, was Ted Kennedy sleeping with Mary Jo Kopechne? Was she pregnant? All of the sort of various things that people speculate, because there's so many unanswered questions. But the movie really sticks to what you know, which I think is one of the strengths of the film.
Yeah, that was the purpose going in, to not to go right down the center, just tell the facts. And it's an indictment, no doubt. You can't get around that. But I think there's more nuance to the film, and that was the intent. Critics are responding, and people on both sides of the aisle. I mean, we did 3 screenings in Martha's Vineyard that were incredible. And people just appreciated the care we took with it. And you brought up Mary Jo Kopechne, someone that never had a voice through 50 years. Their family had reached out before we made the movie. I'd made brief contact, and didn't want to be swayed in any way of kind of putting what we had down, into the film. And so when the movie was finished, we connected again, and we set up a screening for the family, and they were incredibly appreciative. It was very difficult to watch, obviously, but what they loved is that she's portrayed as smart and funny and ambitious and just, a real person, rather not just a picture associated with, a name, Chappaquiddick.
And that entire sequence of what happens to her is so heartbreaking, and it just really infuses the rest of the movie, because instead of it just being, okay, Ted Kennedy's just a lost little lamb, with his family, you realize that a person died, and that keeps coming up throughout the rest of the film, obviously.
That's the thing. You go back and forth with, I wouldn't say there's any sympathy for Ted, but, there's some understanding and emotion to all the characters in it. And so if you again have a little nuance with the film, it'll keep you going both ways. He has a chance to kind of do the right thing, and then he doesn't. Then he does something maybe that he should, and then he shouldn't. So you kind of go back and forth through the whole movie. It
really is a tremendous film. The film is Chappaquiddick, and of course we're talking with producer Mark Chardy, and thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I'm excited that the movie's even out there. It's a story that has needed to be told for half a century. If this had I'll just say this on my own behalf, if this had happened to a Republican, this would have been a movie within 30 seconds of it actually occurring. So the fact that it took half a century for it to happen about Teddy Kennedy, one of the most famous men in the history of American politics, is pretty incredible.
Yeah, well, thank you, and would love to have all our audiences support it, but especially conservatives. You know, they talk that Hollywood never does these kinds of movies, and we do, and it's not a partisan movie at all, and I think it's enjoyed by both sides. But certainly, conservative audiences should support this.
I think it's almost a moral obligation for conservative audiences to go see this. If they're going to talk about how much Hollywood is biased, they at least need to go support things that are not biased in favor of the left and that are good, solid takes on the facts, like your movie Chappaquiddick. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Everybody, go see the film. It's terrific.
Appreciate it.